Okay, I'm back. Audible, yes? Perfect. Okay. Share video, go live. Cool, yeah, crispy. Got that M1 MacBook Pro. Cool, so thanks for being very patient with me. This is Intro to Web Design with a 90s twist. My name is Jackie. I am the product designer at Codédex. I've been working here since July. I like spicy food. My favorite video game is Paper Mario, specifically the Paper Mario for N64 and Thousand Year Door. This is pretty much my main personality traits. Yes, I am drinking water because I need to stay hydrated. So this workshop, I'm going to give a little intro to myself, to web design, to like 90s web design specifically, go into like why even think about design in the context of a hackathon. Yes, you can drink water. Okay, I'm not going to read the chat anymore. I'm going to talk about like picking an idea for hackathon as the start of the design process, how to find inspiration, how to prototype your ideas, explore what you want to build, and then translate design into something that is ready for code. So I work as a designer. This is kind of like an overview of my process, or like a little sneak peek of it. And hopefully it can inspire you all as you are building your own solo hackathon projects. So just an intro. Let me make this window a little better. I am the product designer for Codédex, which means I create how the website looks and feels. We have our product is a website, so technically I'm a web designer. And I design things in terms of systems from small scale to like, how does the button look? How are the different states to it? To designing systems at a big scale. So, oh no, can you hear me? Is it frozen? Yeah, so I grew up on the web, the early internet, like 90s and 2000s web. And yeah, that really influenced me a lot and influenced me to create the things that I do. These are kind of like websites I like to play on as a kid, like lots of games. And I also went on a lot of internet forums around art. I think 90s web is having a big moment today in today's cultural zeitgeist. I think a lot of people are reflecting on kind of their experiences of the early internet, popular in like a lot of graphic design, pop culture. And why is this? I think nostalgia around 90s web and the internet, I think it's kind of a visceral way to get in touch with your past self. A lot of the people who are loving like 90s techno nostalgia are kind of adults who are reflecting on like their childhood experiences of technology. Tamagotchi recently released their 20th anniversary Tamagotchi connection. I remember when these came out when I was like in 4th grade and everyone had them. Things usually come in like 20-year cycles. I think nostalgia is also a way for people to like really grapple with how things have changed and how they want the future to be. If anyone remembers MySpace was like social media before Facebook. It was like really simple websites. You could actually like customize your HTML, CSS of your profile, your MySpace profile and really customize it. A lot of people learned to code because of it. Tom was the CEO of MySpace. And it's kind of funny, like seeing people's reactions to this. Like people look back at Tom as like, oh my gosh, he never sold our data. He never influenced elections. I think this is really trying to say something about how people see tech companies now and tech CEOs now. Even if Tom was like maybe not even the best guy in reality, like people look at him with this kind of like nostalgia because he symbolizes something about like a past before maybe like a corporatized internet. And people love MySpace so much that like there's a teenager in Europe who created like a MySpace clone called Space Hey, where people could make MySpace profiles again, add friends, and decorate them just like they could on MySpace in like 2005. And it's like still very popular, has a lot of users. So yeah, people, it really means something to people. And you know, if we want to get like academic about it, I found like a really interesting paper that was looking at MySpace and Space Hey from this sort of like anthropology lens. And they're asking like, what is nostalgia doing? It's reflecting our own values and anxieties back at us MySpace might have died, but it is our current socio-technical ideals and anxieties that brought it back to life. So it's not necessarily what MySpace actually was that was the big deal. It's like our perception of it and how it reflects like what is most compelling to us right now, which is that.
A few moments later.
Are we having good Wi-Fi now? I'm gonna also maybe just like sit outside. It might be closer to the router. So nostalgia is also a great way to like learn to code. A lot of websites today look boring. I think designing websites has gotten kind of cookie cutter because every business's website looks the same. But websites in the past looked a lot more fun. They kind of these are websites from GeoCities, which was like a platform that people could create their own custom like websites on. A lot of these were like really personal websites, just included like text and images. Wasn't really trying to focus on like a business outcome. Another example, like purple.com used to be just like a fan site for someone who really liked the color purple, but now it's a mattress company. So kind of an interesting shift from kind of a more personal internet to a very like corporate, like everything's a business. Making 90s websites is also a really great way to learn the fundamentals. Like this is like the most basic example of someone's first website. It's like a header and paragraph, and it looks like a 90s website. And the reason for that is because 90s websites are like built on such small, like limited constraints that it's lets you learn the building blocks of the web pretty much. And making sites in this way is also a great way to like make the web fun again. So I don't know if anyone's played on neocities.org, but it's trying to be like a reboot of GeoCities where you could create your own like static websites on their platform. A lot of people like update their own personal sites and create like fan sites in the style of like 90s sites on it. They have a pretty vibrant community, and their whole model is like how to make the web fun again. Okay, so that was a little bit about 90s web. So now I want to talk about like why design. Like I'm sure some of you are designers, but maybe not all of you. Maybe most of you are like computer science students or just learning to program. First, I want to talk about what is design, and how I define it is like whenever we are making something, we are designing. So design is not just making an app. It's not just making a website. You're also designing something when you're cooking a recipe, when you're designing a menu, when you're designing a course syllabus. Anytime you create intentional choices that let you, for the purpose of communicating an idea or building something functional, you are designing. And I think this framework has like kind of empowers us to all design. Design can range from like super basic to utilitarian to very interactive and delightful. So the left is like Craigslist. It's just like pretty much blue links on a page. Duolingo, on the other hand, uses a lot of animation. It uses a lot of illustration. And they both make these choices for very different purposes. Design is also just like kind of a practical economic consideration, especially in like tech teams. Like when you're making a tech product, you don't want to just like jump into building something because like what if you want to change it later? Like what if it's not like the best kind of user experience? That's where design comes in. Design lets you like get a little scrappier, test your ideas, like even just sketch it out before can help you save a lot of time with like engineering in terms of like engineering the wrong stuff. So this is sort of like, value prop of design if you want to get very business of it. And then finally, you don't need to be like a capital D designer to design. Like you don't need to be a product designer to design like under these kind of definitions. Like if design is just making choices that help you achieve an outcome, then we could all design. If you're an engineer, you make design choices when you build stuff. If you're a product person, you can design stuff. Also, like you don't necessarily need to be like the best illustrator or graphic designer to be a designer or to bring in design mindset into your work. and just want to go give a little bit of the design process and how I would go about this hackathon if I were doing it with like a 90s flavor to it. So first, we have an idea. So we have 2 tracks. One is .com boom. Another is now it's personal. So .com boom, the prompt is to reimagine a current company with a 90s twist. So I would think about like what's most interesting for me. I think it's kind of interesting to take something that is like so modern. Like for me, like what comes to mind is like Sweet Green. It's so like millennial modern. It's so like has that like clean aesthetic. And I think it'd be interesting to like 90s-ize it, like make it like unprofessional. And another kind of idea I have for the personal side is like maybe something Hello Kitty related. I really like Hello Kitty. My idea, if we're thinking holiday, is like, what if we made like a 90s style like Hello Kitty website that could be used as a holiday card? Yeah, so those are kind of the 2 ideas that come to my head. Yeah, and the next step that I usually do is like collect inspiration. So I love to make mood boards. The mood boards can be pictures of existing websites, old websites, it could be color palettes, it could be just like random posters you see. I really like to like try to collect the vibe or essence that I'm going for and just like dump it all in one place. I also, for this type of thing, I love to collect like old websites and really like go in and study them. One of my favorite sites is like webdesignmuseum.org. It says .com here, but it's .org. And they have like a big collection of all these different types of like old websites and screenshots from it. Yeah, so this is an example. Like I looked Barbie.com and this is the one from like 1996 or something. You can also search for websites history using the Wayback Machine. So this is a tool that the Internet Archive has created. So you can type in a website and see snapshots of it from like all in the past. And if it's like a well-known website, it might get like a lot of results. So it's like not like every day it gets snapshot, but like maybe a few times a month, depending on. I think they use like a process called like web crawling to take these snapshots. So I'm searching sanrio.com. It's a big company, so they should have some. And yeah, cool to see like this whole history from like the 90s to the 2000s. I looked at 1998 and this is their home site, like sanrio.com, like literally a GIF that just says open your browser. I don't know what that means, but like you have to click on this to go in. When you click on that, you get into like, this is the homepage. So kind of funny, just like seeing this like so 90s art. And there's a link that brought me to the Japan site. This is the Japan site. I like the Japan site. So cute. So I love going down these like rabbit holes and really studying like what are the actual like design patterns. Yeah, and I can share this slide after. So yeah, things were super illustrative then. I think it's because like things couldn't be as like responsive and dynamic as it is today. Another resource I like to use, Gift Cities, also by the Internet Archive. It is a kind of search engine that lets you look at GIFs that are collected from GeoCities websites, which is kind of an awesome tool because like I like to use these images instead of just like going to Google Images and like it's just so aesthetic. So this is me searching Hello Kitty. You can see like not all of them are super relevant. So it's like not the most precise search, but like you can get some pretty good gems in there. I love this one with like the heart. I'm not sure if there's open source. Yeah, I think there's like a lot of gray area with like Internet Archive, old website stuff. But I feel like it's kind of, no one's like gonna knock on your door if you use an image from this website. Yeah, and I think like linking to kind of the source material on Internet Archive is also good. But you can also click on it and see the original site that it's from. So this is like a site from Japan, apparently. And you can see where the image was used. So really fun to just like explore histories and get a portal into another person's personal site. One another general design resource. I like using coolers.co as a color palette generator. So if you just want like color inspiration, you could easily generate it just by hitting the space bar. And you can get a lot of fonts online for free. So Google Fonts are all free. I think I'm not sure if you can download directly here, but like if you just search the font name in Google, you should be able to find a free version. Defont.com is also all free. I think they have like various like Creative Commons licenses maybe per font. And yeah, you can get a lot of really funky stylized ones on here. So here's like a recently added Christmas font, which is kind of cute. And then finally, prototyping. So prototyping is the process of like, instead of going to build like the actual code, like first you want to prototype, which means you want to create like a test version, an idea version, before you want to like dive into code and to explore your ideas more quickly. So a lot of designers use Figma now to code. Before it was like Sketch. These tools are always like updating, but Figma is sort of like most common industry standard right now. And it's really built for web design, with web design and like app design in mind, because everything you kind of create in Figma can be made with code. And it has a free plan for students. So it's a little hidden, but search like Figma education plan. You just have to submit your proof of studenthood, and then you get like kind of more robust features. So I'm going to go into Figma and I'm going to share my screen on Figma and do a little live demo for like maybe 10 minutes of like how I would go and use Figma to make my like idea 2, which is like the 90s Hello Kitty holiday website. Stop streaming, share your screen. Okay, I'm going to change it to 180 resolution, and hopefully that makes my internet not be sad. Okay, I'm locked in. Okay, so here is what I started with, and I just collected like a mood board, some websites that were existing from the Internet Archive, some other 90s websites, and some other like illustration elements and some color palettes. So I just like to dump it in Figma before I like go design. I just like seeing this like side by side with whatever I'm designing. So Figma is kind of has this like big canvas area. You can like dump little elements from it. And they have all these tools which let you like make different aspects of like a website prototype. So first, I just want to kind of go over the process. So first I'm going to like explore like a low fidelity version. Low fidelity means like it doesn't look like the shiniest like colorful version that I want it to look in the end, but it's more just like kind of blocking out the sections. I might use a lot of like gray and like ugly fonts, and like ugly is good for this point because it's just about getting the idea across, like kind of like the similar aspect to drawing on pen and paper. And then I'm going to just like refine it, add colors, fonts, and images, and then just like continue that process until I'm ready to build with code. Great. So first, Figma has all these tools. This like hashtag is frame. The frame allows me to create like kind of an artboard. I did clicked here. I can choose like a MacBook Pro size screen, and it creates like an artboard that I can use to design one of my screens on. So at this stage, at the like low fidelity stage, I want to be like just sketching out like, okay, what am I building? I have this idea of like, and I'm just going to write it here, like idea like Hello Kitty 90s holiday card site. What does that mean? So I think I like want to make a website that just like I can send to a friend, and they can click a button and then like read a message. So super, very basic. I think if I were doing the Sweet Green example, it would be like a lot more complicated. So maybe this is going to be like my welcome page, and then this is going to be my message page. So I can add text. I press T on my keyboard for like an easy command, and then you can add text. And this is like season's greetings. Like this is going to be the header. like welcome image, and I like want to put like maybe a big image here, and then I want like a button. For the button, I'm just gonna like take some text and like make it a little smaller than the header, so I can adjust the font size here. And then kind of like a more advanced Figma move, they have something we can add auto layout. And this is just a text section. If I press add auto layout, it's going to create this like box around it. It's kind of hard to see now because it's just white, but you can give that box, let me first add a fill to that box and like make it like gray. You can give that box like, this is like the margin and this is the padding. I think you can see it if you like hover over. And if any of you have done web design before, this is like pretty one-to-one with like how HTML, CSS works. Like you create sections, you can create like a button element and then modify it using CSS to give it certain properties. So this is sort of similar if I were like creating a button in HTML and then using CSS to modify the properties. Okay, how are we feeling? This is super basic, like this is my splash screen. Okay, and then I want to make kind of the message screen. So I want to be like, if you click this button, what am I going to see next? So maybe I like want to explore different versions and like here's some big text, have like another header, and then have like lots of like write like a custom message for a friend underneath. And I can like make that smaller text. I'm gonna use not a bold font for here. So I'm going pretty fast, but that's because I literally get paid to do this, my job. And I've also been doing this type of work for like 8 years. So don't be alarmed if like by my pressing of buttons. Yeah, so, and then maybe I want like a back button for some reason, just so people can go to the back to the regular screen, with the main screen. So this is super simple, lo-fi prototyping. And then maybe I also just like also want to test another idea. So when you're doing this stage, you can also explore multiple options. And this is a great way to like test, okay, what does a more vertical treatment of this page look like? Do I like that better than this side? Very simple example, but I think when you're making applications and making like more complex choices, like it's super helpful to see it here rather than have to like code every version, if that makes sense. Okay, so then very quickly, I'm just gonna, maybe I just like wanna go with these two versions. I'm doing copy and paste so I can like pull it down and create like a nicer version here. And I have all these images and want to see if I can like use them for visual inspiration. So I like the snowy kind of color scheme here, like light blues. I also collected a couple GIFs from GIF cities, and you can import GIFs directly into Figma, and it doesn't animate here, but when you like press play, which I'll show later, you can use it. So I love the 90s look of like repeatable background images. So I'm gonna maybe use this on this artboard frame. So what you can do is like copy properties. And I'm gonna paste properties here. And that's gonna like put the image on the background here, but it looks way too big. So I'm gonna go into the fill. What it did is like replace the fill of this, which was white before, with an image. And then there's all these different options to change how that looks. So I'm going to do tile instead. And then it makes it really small and repeated. But I'm going to make it like, yeah, maybe like 120%. And like it changes how much it like repeats. So that's my website. And I also got this font. So I can also copy the properties here and apply it to my text here. like change the text color. So if you ever use like Canva or like even like Google Slides, like a pretty similar process of like you add elements, you change the properties, you change colors. And then I want to maybe use Times New Roman for the button because it's so like ugly 90s. I can also give the button like an outline in addition to the inside color. Maybe I want like pink. Maybe outline I want like, I don't know. Maybe I'll use my color palette here. Yeah, here's like a purple. And then I want to replace, this is just a placeholder. And I can literally just like copy and paste one of my images here and like put it in the center. If I want to add like a different fill or like a gradient, there's also different versions for the inside. This adds like an automatic like dark aspect to the pink that I chose. But what if I want like a little bit more bolder? I can adjust that here. So I could like spend forever on this if I wanted to. And then maybe finally I just want to like make this color white. Yeah, so this is my very simple boss screen. I think I want to add some like other GIFs to the side. I like this kind of because it kind of like blends in with the background a bit. So it's like a little more subtle. I'm going to add this like on both sides of my Hello Kitty. And then I can also like do stuff like there's effects. You can add a drop shadow and like make that drop shadow bigger and like a little bolder to like give more emphasis to the text. Okay, I like the yellow. It looks so something. It looks so, oh, okay. I like the light yellow. It looks like really like heavenly. If I got sent this website, I would definitely, I don't want it to say season's greetings. I'm going to say like read, open card. Okay, and then finally, like maybe I want to design this card section. I also collected like these memo inspirations, like since I'm doing a holiday card, maybe some like stationery would be a nice touch. And then I want to like make sure like there's a lot of room for like a lot of text. So maybe one other kind of style that I'm going to go for is like maybe more space, like nighttime theme. I also have this like stars. So I'm going to do the same copy properties, paste properties in here. Once again, it's really big, so I'm going to like do the tiling. Yes, definitely looks like a 90s site. My text is still black, so it's like hidden, but I'm just going to like bump them to white so I know where they are. I'm going to use this font again. And then I want to use now this image. I think it's really cute. These GIFs are all from GIF Cities. I think it's so cute. And then I'm going to make this Times New Roman to fit the previous version, or like previous. I'm going to copy the button over as well, just because I already made this button. So I'm using my keyboard, like Control-C, Control-V for all this. I think that like speeds up a lot, so I don't have to like click all the time. And then, yeah, I want to reference the memo because they're always like kind of a lighter background in front of the main background. So I'm going to make another rectangle. You can also make shapes. So this is making a rectangle. I'm going to take a rectangle and then drag it below all my stuff. So it's like in front of everything. It gives like a nice backdrop. I think this gray like looks too washed out. So I think I want to like go for something that's like a little similar to the black, but not really. I can also just like choose a purple and like change the opacity. So it's like, gives a little tint, but it also lets you see the back of it. Okay. Then I can also like change the border radius for this rectangle if I wanted to over here. Okay, I feel like this is kind of captures some of like the memo look. And then you can sort of just like have fun and do whatever you want. I'm gonna use this GIF as well. So I feel like this is a fun hackathon because like you kind of can just go like wild and crazy with it. Like the weirder it looks, honestly, the better. I feel like there's a lot of hackathons where people like are pressured to make something that looks like a shippable company product, which, you know, I think is impressive sometimes, but also where's the fun? Live a little. And then finally I want to like add some candles. So I don't know. Maybe I just like want to create like a ring of candles for this. So yeah, and then if you want to test it, like Figma also has this tool where you can press play, this play button, and you get to see this like version of your website in a prototype form. Right now, it's like you can have it with a choice to see it on like a MacBook frame, but you can also not do that. Yeah, there's different settings to like show it at different sizes, but we'll just keep the macro frame. So this is what my site looks like, and I can see it with the animation. I can tell if like, oh, am I happy with the sizes? Maybe I'll just actually the prototype size right now. So I can change the device to none, and then that's going to just show it as a screen. And if I zoomed in to actual size, it's going to test like how are these actual like font sizes going to show and image size is going to show up on my computer. So right now it looks a little big, so I might go back and adjust it. I'm pressing my right key to go to the next one. I think my sizes are pretty big, but I'll just like scale it so you can see it here. And then this is my prototype for my little notes. And if I actually want to build this, I can type out the real text when I'm coding. But for here, it's not as important. I'm more so want to just like test the layout and see kind of what images and colors I want to use. Cool. So I think that is, well, okay. Last thing, Figma wise. Okay. I don't know if this might be a paid feature. So I'm sorry if I'm show it and you don't have this, but Figma has a dev mode. It might be a paid feature. I'm not sure. But you can see like the actual CSS that is applied to the element. So this is the season's greeting text. So it shows you like the CSS that you would need to add when you're coding your website to achieve this look. Here's also the sort of like padding outline, like the border background that you could like paste into your code as well. I'm sorry if this is a paid feature. Okay, I think that is the end of my Figma portion. Okay, finally, I'll just go back to my slides. So that was my Figma demo. So what's next? You showed a little bit of viewing the prototype. Next steps are to build it out in code and iterate if needed. And often what I do is go back between like coding and Figma. Like sometimes I'm done with Figma and I can just like make the code changes I want to like test different font sizes. Sometimes it's even better to just see it live rather than test it out in Figma. So you can decide like what stage are you ready to just like go and build. And if you need to like rethink things or like test colors, for example, and it's like a little bit trickier to do in code, you can always go back to Figma. There's no like set like ending to when prototyping is done versus building. It's all like a back and forth process, especially for solo projects where you're like still figuring out and building stuff as you go. And then, yeah, that's it for me. Make sure to come back at 2 p.m. for Intro to HTML and CSS with Ellie, where you can actually learn how to take what you learned from this workshop and then build something in code that makes it look like the way that you want it to. Cool. Thank you so much. Happy to maybe answer some questions. But yeah, happy to take questions about web design, product design, Codédex, making 90s art. How did you think that quick? Well, I did a lot of planning for this workshop, so I'm a planner. Think that quick. So I actually had some went through the process last night and just planned out, okay, what am I going to do? And it didn't look exactly like what I showed you, but I knew I wanted to create a welcome page and a message page. Okay. Next question. How did I get started in product design? So I studied computer science, and I always liked web programming, making things that were creative, hence kind of the evolution that I've had. But I don't know, I just didn't really see myself as a software engineer. I feel like the practical reality is you're just building kind of things from spec for another designer. So I think I was I want to actually be doing the design myself. I feel like that's a better use of my time creatively. How many years experience do you have? So I think I started using Figma when it became more popular in 2020. I was using Sketch before, but it's very similar. It has the same format. Figma just has a little more features and is multiplayer, allows people to be on it at the same time. I think a lot of these tools, the skills transfer. Mac or PC? I grew up using PC. I got a MacBook in 2017 in college, and it just was easier to code on. So I still use one. Do I prefer design or coding? I don't know. I think both. For me, they're one-to-one, one-in-one. They're kind of the same thing to me. In both of them, I'm having an idea and creating it. I think in a professional setting, I prefer design because it lets me be more creative, than if I were Jackie, the software engineer. But for my own stuff, I like kind of building things from zero to end. Yeah, it's just the reality of that in kind of typical jobs doesn't always allow for that. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to read. Do you think these kinds of design can win? Yeah, so I think for the hackathon, just to bring it back, what I did was 5-minute design. So, if I did this as for the hackathon, I don't know that it would be win. It would be definitely fun to explore. But I think really go in depth with the prompts. If you're doing a corporate website, really imagine what is the 90s version of it. If I were doing the sweet green one, I think I want to make a lot of creative choices that make it wow, someone seeing it would be wow, that's so funny to see sweet green in this 90s styles, and really go all out on it to get that effect. And I think it would be making it really elaborate. What if there was a 90s style salad creator where you could add all the toppings and it's very cheesy like that, or I think that would be a really creative aspect that really goes in depth and takes the prompts to a new level. So I think stuff like that would be great. If someone wants to do sweet green, 90s sweet green, do it. I'm trying to eat a lot of salad recently. Cool. Maybe we can end there. Cool. Thanks so much for joining me. Sorry again for the technical issues. Good luck with the hackathon. And most importantly, have fun. Just create something, have fun, 90s style. You're here to learn and just make something fun. Okay, I'm gonna leave now. Bye.